Ghost Recon Breakpoint was announced today, like right now. I've just finished watching the live stream and there was a lot to take in, but all of it was exciting. So I've kind of distilled, I took notes while I was watching the stream and have distilled it to 5 of the things that I think are going to blow us away. I've been a huge Tom Clancy video game fan for a very long time, since the original Rainbow Six on PC. This is giving my age away. I used to skip like rugby practice to play Rainbow Six on my PC. And one of the things that really blew me away was that I grew up playing games like Quake and Doom, very fast-paced action shooters that were just kind of like gory and crazy, and they were fun games, but nothing was very strategic or tactical. And this was the first time I'd ever been introduced to anything that was strategic and tactical, where you were shooting, but not for the sake of just shooting. You were shooting because you had a purpose. There was a reason behind it. There was motivation. There were hostages. You had to be smart and tactical. Any bullet could kill you. Your life was at risk. Your team was at risk. It was very scary. And they've taken that genetic all the way through all the Tom Clancy games, all the way up to now with Ghost Recon Breakpoint. They've really like doubled down on a bunch of things that make the game more satisfying and more tactical. Before we get into it, if you haven't yet subscribed, come hang out. This is the place where we talk about video games. I do my live stream on Twitch every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday generally, so come check that out as well. But this is the place that we have great, exciting conversations about video games. First up, the approach to gameplay is more survivalist than it is as an elite soldier. If you played Wildlands, you'll know that you are an elite soldier with a bunch of like crazy technology. You get dropped into a third world country with like overpowered weapons, and you're kind of the dominant force in the space. But in Breakpoint, they're kind of turning that on its head. You're an elite soldier, right, but you're in an environment where the main enemies are ghosts themselves. They are superior soldiers, and they've got the benefit of all this technology. They've got the upper hand in the environment, and you kind of are the underdog in the space, using your wits. But you have to think tactically about taking on your opponents. And they've implemented a few things which are quite game-changing when it comes to the genre. The first one is there are different kinds of injuries. Now, traditionally in a video game, there'd be like a health bar. You knock out your health bar, you either die, or you'll see this in games like Apex or Fortnite, you get knocked down and then somebody has to revive you. That's kind of the traditional way of dealing with death in these games and injuries. But now, to make it far grittier and a little bit more like tense, so the situation has got a little bit more drama, you can have different tiers of injury. So they use an example in the gameplay trailer. He gets shot and he starts limping, or somebody gets healed but they don't get healed all the way through to full health bar, so they end up limping and they have to recover themselves by either applying different bandages or a stim syringe. It's not like one stim or 2 stim syringes will get you to full health. It'll only get you to a certain stage. And in some instances, you might be so injured that you won't be able to shoot. They've also played with the traditional last known position. A lot of games, like Assassin's Creed, if you give away your position, you have this magical like last known like ghost that sits in that spot, and then all the other enemies, they just magically know where you are. They've done away with that. If you are giving away your position, maybe you're firing from behind a rock or some trees, and you are heard, they are aware that you're in that area, but they still need to go to that region and find you and discover where you're at. So what ends up happening is you can use that to your advantage. You can lure enemies into a trap. You can either run away because they don't exactly know exactly where they're shooting. They might be firing in your general direction, so you've got a higher chance of survivability. It's a very cool approach that works with the theme of what they're going for. There's also going to be 4 different classes. There's something called a sharpshooter, which is obviously the sniper, and a panther class, which is the stealth class. And you can change all of these classes and I suppose get materials and stuff from something called a bivouac, which is like a tent. It's like a place that you buckle down and get ready for the night and rest and recover. They use their example of like military, laughing at video games in a way, because the attack, the activity of attacking your opponents is only a small percentage of being on the battlefield. The rest of that time is actually spent recovering or scoping and from preparing for an ambush, or there's a lot of other things that happen behind the attack which are important. And the bivouac is an area that's going to introduce us to that space and also be a place where we can change our classes, change our loadouts, make sure that we've got enough materials before we go into a fight or before we engage in a mission. Secondly, there's going to be a fleshed out story mode. And now there has been story modes in other Ghost Recons, but nothing that's been fleshed out with great cinematics, with big actors. But this time they're changing things up by doing that. They put great emphasis on there being like massive cinematics and like a really exciting story mode, something that we could get emotionally invested in, which is very cool. It might attract a whole bunch of new people that aren't interested in like, I don't know, like military simulator type things or co-op play to just get into this universe and experience it for themselves. You can play the game single player and you can play a co-op, which is great. And being able to play it single player might add an element of challenge to it, but at the same time, you can go through this really amazing single player campaign, which is really compelling. And also they've got the John Bernthal in it, who is obviously the Punisher and Shane from The Walking Dead. So he's going to be in it, and so they're putting a lot of money behind the production value of the narrative. The game is going to be extremely challenging. They did say that there's an easier setting, but for those of us who really like a challenging game, especially in a game that's co-op and you want to work together and try hard at achieving something, they're really ramping up the difficulty. Obviously in the narrative, there's these soldiers that are more advanced than you. They have the upper hand on the island and you're coming up out of the ashes to take them on. So there's that part of the story that works into the themes that they're using. And there seems to be a real strong emphasis on working together in your different classes. Having a balanced approach to a battle with the different classes is actually going to make a difference and make it a lot easier if you guys actually work together, which is actually quite hard sometimes if you're playing with the wrong people. To emphasize the difficulty, they did go on about how difficult they were planning on making it, how challenging they were going to make the whole experience. But to emphasize that, they are introducing a raid, and I assume it's one of many different raids. The raid is going to happen like at the volcano on the island, and that's going to be a really exciting experience. It's going to be the most challenging space on the map. They say they're going to surprise us. I wonder what these big surprises are going to be. And obviously the tankiest, buffest, craziest enemies are all going to be localized there. If the concept of a raid in a Ghost Recon universe doesn't excite you and you are really into this kind of wave-based, tactical, challenging combat, like I don't know what else is going to excite you. This is it. This is like the experience that I want. A good Ghost Recon has a great environment, and this time they've set it in the South Pacific in an archipelago. Archipelago. Okay. It's set on an archipelago in the South Pacific, which is like an island pretty much with a huge variety of different environments in it, which is great to play in because there's going to be some tropical jungles, there's going to be some beaches, there's going to be some snowy mountains, there's going to be a huge variety of different environments to play in, which is great. Especially in Ghost Recon, where a really varied environment makes for interesting combat. Gotta have a look at those trees. Look at the foliage move. Just look at it move in the trailer. Look at the gameplay. Look at all the leaves move. It looks incredible. Post-launch, they have teased the idea in that interview that they will be adding extra islands in and around it, which is also really great. So they can add pretty much any kind of landscape that they want. And lastly, they were speaking about lots of content. Year 1 has got 3 episodes of content that's going to be dropping. Episode 1 will launch fall 19 to winter 2020. Episode 2 goes from spring 2020 to summer 2020. Remember, these are Northern Hemisphere seasons. Episode 3 will go halfway through summer 2020 through to fall 2020. Having frequent content just keeps the game alive. They seem to be really focused on that in the interview. They want to make sure that there's always something exciting to participate in and to do in the universe, which is really cool. And it's something that we expect from games these days, especially games as a service. And let's not forget the raid, which is going to be the biggest challenge in the game. I think that's going to keep me coming back a lot. And I hope they're going to be dropping more and more raids as the game matures. Anyway, that wraps up what I thought were my top moments of the Ghost Recon Breakpoint announcement. What did you guys think? Did you guys watch it? Did you guys live stream it? Did you live stream it with me? We live streamed it together on the Twitch channel. If you want to be a part of the Twitch channel, look below in the description. There's a link there for you. And you can come hang out with us when we do, because it's fun. That's what we do there. We have a good time. Do you want to have a good time? If you want to have a good time, come join us. If you don't want to have a good time, don't come join us, because that's not where the party's at. This is where the party's at. And YouTube, of course, if you haven't subscribed. Before I go, I just want to remind everybody, we are giving away this Division 2 Brian Johnson 25 centimeter tall figurine from, obviously, the Division 2. Thanks to Ubisoft. I'm going to include a link in the description as well for you guys to check that out. The sniper rifle is the length of his body. That's ridiculous, but it is to scale. I don't have it in the game yet. I wish I did. Something I should have found in the Dark Zone. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below of Breakpoint. I'm really excited. I'll be hanging out there. I'll see you guys in another video. High five, stranger. Cheers.